Hello, David.
Hey, Karen.
How are you?
I'm okay. Hang on a sec. Back.
What's going on?
How goes it?
Not too bad. Things are good. What about you?
Good. It's coming fast and furious. It's all right.
It is, isn't it?
It is. Spring's here and everybody's ready for summer.
Yeah, they certainly are.
Got your summer camping all lined up?
Someone does. I'm not allowed to do that.
No input by you?
No. Well, there is input, but not sure if it's considered or not. I don't have to go anywhere. I can stay right here.
You got plenty of projects just
Jesus.
5 feet away from me at home.
Yeah, me too. If I don't get some paint on the interior of this house pretty quick, bugging me. But in order to do that, we got to move out room by room. You know what I mean?
I do. I started almost a month ago now. I started a wallpaper removal project in my dining room.
Yeah.
And lo and behold, I got the wallpaper off, or mostly off, and then I recognized that there was a second layer underneath. Much more well secured to the wall than the original, or than the one I got off. So
you gotta love it.
Project came to a screeching halt.
Hello, Laidley.
Hi.
Good evening.
Hey.
And there's Mike. Hi, Mike.
Yeah. Hi,
Hey.
how are you
Good.
doing? Good. Well, Google wasn't sharing my old password with me, so I barely made it though. So now I've got to remember a new password, I guess.
It's so helpful when they protect you from yourself.
I know. Yeah, I know. And I need more and more protection as I get more and more forgetful, right? You know, it's like, yeah. Turn that off and on. So lately, did you ever solve the rot problem, the get rot problem? Or
Oh gosh, yeah. That we've rebuilt the entire 4-foot on this sailboat and got that installed Friday and just have a couple of planks to replace before Thursday.
Well, congratulations. Yeah. It must feel good, yeah.
Wooden boats. Yeah, literally everything else is done except for this surprise repair on this boat. And the owner is not flexible, so.
Well, I'm sure the owner will be happy that it's fixed, yeah.
Oh, thrilled. And to be honest, trying to reschedule anything at this point would be worse than it's worse than the stress of trying to get it done.
Yeah, okay, yeah.
With this nice spring we've been having, now everybody wants their boat a month early. So
Oh, I bet. Yeah, sure, yeah.
Understandable. But it is meant for some very long days.
I should open this thing up here. There we are.
And David, you can ignore the email I sent you this morning, because I'll just, once we get done with this, I'll pound through it and have something for you to read tomorrow.
I'll send you something.
Oh, yeah.
The day got ahead of me today.
The last whatever period of time. Shoot. Somehow I always forget about this time of year. It's like this wonderful amnesia that it's like, oh no, this again. Hopefully Karen's not really mad at me for holding the whole thing up.
No, she knows who's responsible for holding the whole thing up, and that would be the guy talking right now, who's not done with all his stuff either.
Oh, good. I'm not alone. I just was having stress dreams about.
I do my best work under pressure, though.
Me too.
But the pressure's on.
Yep.
Hello.
Hey, Jordan. How we doing?
Good. How are you guys doing?
It's great. Springtime is here.
That's true. There's an excavator spreading soil and gravel outside my house right now. I'm very excited.
You saved your elbows for.
Oh my God! Yeah.
There's nothing worse than raking gravel than iron rake. I mean, it just hurts everywhere.
A few yards is okay, but I think 10 to 20 is a little much for an aging gentleman.
Oh, please.
Well,
please.
Okay, well, it's conveniently 6 p.m., so let's get started. I am assuming Josh will be joining us any second here. So welcome, everyone, to the Lincolnville Selectmen's meeting. It is the 10th of May. We are continuing to operate under the state of emergency as declared by the governor during this pandemic, and as such, we are subject to the Maine Freedom of Access Act, and we are conducting this public proceeding on Zoom. We do encourage the public to participate through telephonic, video, electronic, or any other digital means, or emails. Drop a letter off at the town office. Get in touch with one of us. If you have any questions about how to participate, please don't hesitate to reach out to the town office. All action by the board will be taken via roll call, including adjournment, and the public can participate via the chat feature, which is down at the bottom of your screen. And if you wish to speak on a particular agenda item, that is fantastic. Please wait to be recognized and then brought over to participate in the conversation. So before we get going, Mike, would you care to read the quote of the evening?
Well, sure thing. I would rather feel bad in Maine than feel good anywhere else. E.B. White.
Truth.
Yeah.
David, do we have anyone for the Citizens Forum for any non-agenda items? Mute. Nothing? Sorry, David, you were muted. I didn't catch any of that.
We can't hear you, Dave. I don't think you can hear us.
Can you hear us, Dave? Okay. We didn't hear any of that because you're muted.
Okay, so.
Oh, Lord.
No, my laptop is not responding.
Awesome. So
Great.
no one for any agenda items, yes or no? Non-agenda items. Okay, we'll move along then. Since David's laptop is rebelling, we will wait for the administrator's report, hopefully, and perhaps it will respond at some point. Anything earth-shattering for the administrator's report? I'm sure we can be updated later, or if you want to put it in the chat, I can read it out loud if you like too. In the meantime, I will read the upcoming meetings and announcements. The planning board will be meeting Wednesday, May 12th at 7 p.m. This is a remote meeting, assuming they're still having it. The Conservation Commission will meet Thursday, the 13th of May at 4 p.m. and they are meeting at the town trailhead. I'm wondering if there's a more specific trailhead.
It's the parking lot at Norton's Pond.
Okay, excellent. Thank you, Mike, for that elaboration. And the Board of Selectmen will meet again on Monday, the 24th of May at 6 p.m. and that will also be a remote meeting. Are there any upcoming community events anyone wishes to share? Not seeing anything. Up. Kern, you're the host now.
Yeah.
Apparently.
Wow.
How do you feel with all of this power?
It's an honor and a pleasure to host this meeting.
Well,
I didn't see any upcoming community events that anyone wishes to share. So while we are waiting for our town administrator to sort out his electronic issues, and I just have to note, this really is the first time this has happened. So I think we've done pretty well so far.
Very good run.
So we do have a set of meeting minutes from the 26th of April. Does anyone have any comments or would anyone care to make a motion?
I move that the board approve the April 26, 2021 meeting minutes as presented.
So moved.
a second.
Seconded by Selectman Ray. Is there any discussion?
Yes. I think I saw two errors.
Okay,
On
great.
line 93, just a typo where Rory Seliger's name was in the second sentence on line 93. Her name was misspelled. And then way up to line 262, it says that Jordan, last week, the broadband committee had some discussion about funding. Well, actually, I think I assume you were referring to the Mid-Coast Internet Coalition having that. Yeah.
Yes.
So we'd want to strike broadband and put in Mid-Coast Internet.
Yeah.
Coalition.
And then I've got a correction, if everyone's ready, for line 228.
228.
So on 222, it starts with saying that I testified on April 20th in support of LD 1235. That is correct. But then at 228, it should mention that I was planning to testify for LD 1432 the next day. And that's the bill that I was, that those other towns had signed on to. And that's the bill I was asking if the town of Lincolnville wanted to add our name to.
Yep, that's an important detail for sure.
Great.
Okay. Super. So having had that discussion about those necessary changes, Kern, would you care to amend your motion?
I would like to amend my motion to include the changes that we just discussed.
Okay, excellent. And Mike,
Okay.
would you care to second that amendment?
I will do. Second that, yes.
Okay, excellent. Any further discussion then? Seeing nothing, Selectman Late, what's your vote?
Yes.
Selectman Garrettson,
Yes.
Selectman Ray,
Yes.
Selectman Barnett Parker.
Yes.
Selectman Dunn, my vote is yes, motion passes. Thank you all. Just want to see if, no, David is not in the attendee, so hopefully he, I don't know, Kern, if he made you the host, if he's then going to need to be brought in by you if you happen to see him pop up.
All right.
So
Sure. I'll look for people popping up and we'll, let's see here. Okay.
Yeah, so I guess we'll just keep our eyes open if that's the case. And then hopefully maybe that's him texting. Okay, David's restarting his laptop, and so he'll try to rejoin soon. And so with the board's consensus, we do have a application for a liquor license from the prospective owner of the Inn at Sunrise Point. And so that is at 6:30. And so if the board is okay with it, shall we just proceed through our agenda items as they fall? And then we'll keep an eye out for the clock ticking over at 6:30. Sound good?
Yeah.
Okay.
Sounds good.
Sounds great. So having dispatched with agenda item number 5, meeting minutes, we do have a number of community interest forms that have come in from members of our community. And so would anyone care to make a motion?
Well, I move to appoint John Williams to the Broadband Committee as a regular member with a term expiring June 2021.
Second.
Moved by Selectman Ray, seconded by Selectman Garrettson. Is there any discussion? Seeing none. Selectman Late, what's your vote?
Yes.
Selectman Garrettson,
Yes.
Selectman Ray,
Yes.
Selectman Barnett Parker.
Yes. Sorry.
Selectman Dunn, my vote is yes. Thank you, John, for volunteering your time. And then we have some interest in the Comprehensive Plan Review Committee.
I move to appoint Terry Moulton to the Comprehensive Plan Review Committee as a regular member with a term expiring June 2023.
Second.
Moved by Selectman Late, seconded by Selectman Garrettson. Sorry, did you say regular or alternate?
Regular.
Okay, thank you. Any discussion? Seeing none. Selectman Late, what's your vote?
Yes.
Selectman Garrettson,
Yes.
Selectman Ray,
Yes.
Selectman Barnett Parker,
Yes.
and Selectman Dunn. My vote is yes. Thank you, Terry. Welcome to the comp plan again. We served together. And we have another motion, please.
I move to appoint Susan Severio to the Comprehensive Plan Review Committee as an alternate member with the term expiring June 2021.
Second.
Moved by Selectman Garrettson, seconded by Selectman Barnett Parker. I think I heard your voice. Is there any discussion? Seeing none. Selectman Late, what's your vote?
Yes.
Selectman Garrettson.
Yes.
Selectman Ray.
Yes.
Selectman Barnett Parker.
Yes.
Selectman Dunn, my vote is yes. Motion passes. Welcome, Susan. Thank you for volunteering. And, oh, we have a hand up. Susan, let's see, we're 2021, your term expires 2021. She was just wondering if her term expired in 2012. It's 2021. So just it's the way the terms go. And so, yes, it technically is this June, but you will automatically renew now that you've put your form in. It's just the way that the terms fall. It's a technicality. Thanks. Sorry, we're operating under a little bit of special circumstances, but just be sure that when committee and department head renewals happen at the end of June, everyone will get a letter reminding them that if they want out, to let us know. Otherwise, you will be automatically renewed in your volunteership to the town. So yeah, so it is a little funny the way that some of the terms fall. Okay. So let's see. Moving along, Josh, you had a request to present this information to the board.
Yeah. Great. So I was approached by multiple people regarding Our Power, which is it's a nonprofit that is starting a push to have our have CMP and Versant be bought out and be converted into a nonprofit consumer-owned utility called the Pine Tree Power Company. And as you can see in the handout, the 2-pager that's in our packet, there's a lot of benefits to it. To me, the biggest one is that like an open access broadband network, it would be owned by us, by Mainers, and we would be able to choose the members that ran the nonprofit, and we would have control over our destiny. You know, electricity is obviously so important. We have one of the highest outage numbers in the country, if not the highest. And we also pay quite a bit more for electricity compared to if it was consumer owned. So I think at the very least, what our board can do is send a letter just in support of moving towards a consumer owned utility.
Okay, thoughts from the board? Yeah, George.
Yeah, I am totally behind this. I listened to Seth Berry, Representative Berry, explain this, and it makes sense. Especially, I feel like in the last 5 winters, I think we've all had to deal with quite a bit of outages in one way or another. And you know, as consumers, I believe that every year it has been approved for CMP to charge those costs to the consumer. So I just feel like just these types of moves are just fiscally responsible. And I think that I just think especially in a state like Maine, where we have winters like we do, and there's going to be outages, that this is the best way to kind of protect our grid and make sure that prices don't spiral out of control any further, because the electricity it's fairly expensive here.
Okay, thanks. Yeah, Kern.
This is intriguing. I believe I'm on board with this. I do have a question about that. So the outages and things of that nature, how is that going to change? Mother Nature is Mother Nature. Mm-hmm. You know, Mother Nature is still going to prey on us, but how is there's still going to be outages, hopefully not so many, But how is that going to change? Or do we even know that yet? Or is it something that is looked at the new owners? We're going to look to the new owners to come ourselves to come up with a better way, a better plan, better staffed, that type of thing. Is that because this is not the first I've heard of this, but I didn't see any of that information in this leaflet. So I assume there's more to follow.
Josh, is it cool if I say something real quick?
Yeah,
or
sure.
you want to- So I think where that comes in is the actual the flexibility of not being profit driven. So if a consumer owned utility decides, hey, it's a priority for us to make sure the lines aren't covered by trees that are going to fall down all the time, or making sure that we have drivers that are in state, or just the fact that the way they operate won't be charging those costs to the consumer as it is now. So as it is now, the outages happen, but we're actually paying for all the extra work that CMP does. So it's like we're paying double. And when you have a consumer-owned utility, they get to choose their priority. So I don't want to say there'll be less outages, but I would assume that if the priority is to maintain the lines at a higher level, that could only result in fewer outages and also less back-end cost or front-end cost to consumers, whereas it's just built into the cost of providing the service.
Okay. I just wondered what the transition would be and how that would look. Thank you.
Yeah, Mike.
Yeah, I'm all on board. I'm all for this, but I'm unclear. I'm confused as to whether the board has the authority to do a resolution on this. I kind of wish Dave was here because he might be able to find some guidance. And I don't want to talk at length about it, but I would kind of like to find out if indeed we are. Maybe it's common practice for the Board of Lincolnville to do that. I don't know. Oh, David Kinney is host now. Maybe you can talk.
Serendipitous.
Yeah, but through the miracle of electricity, there's kind of the irony there. But I don't know if the board has the statutory or authority to do that. I did a little Googling and looking at MMA manuals, and I'm still confused. I know that MDI was told back in 2020 when they wanted to do a resolution on something else, on climate change. Their town attorney, their town administrator talked to MMA, who advised against it. Yeah, and that would have to go to town meeting. MMA says you can do it. I'm not sure exactly what the MMA manual, how that reads. So anyway, I'm confused.
You raise a good point though, but let's go back to that. But Josh, you had your hand up.
Yeah, if you look at the end of the resolution, it says, be resolved that the select board urges the Maine legislature and governor to pass legislation, yada, yada, yada. So we're urging them to do something. We did the same thing with the letter we approved 2 weeks ago. I feel we said, we, the select board, support the Mid-Coast Internet Coalition and all these things. So all we're saying is we urge you to do something. I don't really see the difference.
Yeah, I think it's a great concept. What I would prefer, I think it's great that Josh, you have some information on it, and Jordan, you've been tuned into this conversation, but ideally, I'd like to see a couple of things happen. I would love to have our town attorney put eyeballs on that, because I feel like there certainly is technically a difference between a select board issuing a resolution and a select board sending a letter of support. And the other thing is I would love to have a representative from this group to be able to ask these questions too. I'm all for pursuing this concept. And so I guess my third question is there some sort of hot deadline that we're chasing, or do we have the flexibility to say, put this on our next agenda and try to get someone or a couple of someones from this effort to be able to flesh out some of these questions that we have?
I think that's a great idea. There is no ticking ticking clock as far as I know.
Yeah, I mean, because Kern, you brought up some interesting points, and Mike, you brought up some interesting points, and I think as bureaucrats, we've got to flesh out some of those more mundane mechanical aspects that it would just be really nice to hear it from the folks that are creating the organization from the get-go. And I for one want to know what the various mechanisms for municipalities are going to be participants. I saw that they've got a structure for their board of directors and that kind of thing, but there was a lot of language about that the people's voices will be heard, and I want to just see what some of the actual mechanics of that are, just to satisfy my own curiosity, if nothing else. But David, you came in at a perfect time. And there was just a question floating around that Mike posed about resolutions and where the board's sort of responsibilities or obligations lie with resolutions and what our limitations may or may not be.
My understanding is a resolution that doesn't bind you to anything. You're free to make almost anything you want. If you want that to be verified, that's certainly doable. But this, as Selectman Garrettson pointed out, is just, encouraging another elected body to do something. And I don't believe that there's any prohibition on the selectmen doing that. If you said you were the town, or trying to speak for the town, you might want town meeting vote of approval. But as far as this group, I think you're free to do that.
Okay, thanks. Well, I guess getting back to my suggestion, how does everybody feel about putting this on the 24th agenda and hopefully inviting and getting some representatives to come and just have a conversation about the ins and outs of this?
It sounds good to me.
Definitely.
Good with that.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yep.
Thank you, Josh, for bringing this to our attention.
Yeah. Thanks,
You're welcome.
Josh.
Got that, David? Now, in 6
do.
minutes, can you give us the administrator's report?
Yeah.
Well, let's go back to agenda item number 2 in the administrator's report.
My apologies for leaving the meeting. I'm still not quite sure what happened, but back out and start again. Everything seems to be working, and fortunately, you've been able to continue without me. Just an update on a couple of things. The last meeting you talked and approved continuing with our paving contractor that didn't complete the work last year. They plan to be here this week to commence, and if the weather is cooperative, they probably can complete it this week, but certainly plan to arrive this week. Our gravel road grading contractors should also be in this week. We're working their way up their list. And the floats are in at Breezemere Park. Also from last meeting, I've spoken with Patrick Adams, who's what's his title? Active Transportation Planner with Maine Department of Transportation about sidewalks. And he is also on your May 24th agenda to come tell you what's involved with sidewalks and active transportation. Let's see, absentee ballots are now available for the voting that will be conducted on June 8th. So if anybody wants to obtain an absentee ballot, contact us here at the town office or come in. And the last thing I have is today, the Department of Treasury issued their interim final regulations regarding the American Rescue Plan. The interim final rule or regulation was 151 pages, which I have not read
Wow.
as yet. as well as a number of other things that were published. I would say by your next meeting, you'll have some good information in your packet, and hopefully we can have some discussion about how to move forward. But we're in position to accept the monies that may be coming forward from the American Rescue Plan as soon as we can understand that we can actually comply with all the rules and regulations. So I know that MMA Legal is reviewing the guidance that was put out today, and I would anticipate they'll probably have some assistance or boiling that down for those of us on the local level, but it's coming. And I guess that is all I have for administrator's report.
Okay, thank you. Anyone have questions for David on that? Okay. We are so close to our public hearing time, but I think that we could tackle agenda item number 9, consideration of winter salt. David, would you care to give a brief preamble?
Sure. So we're planning for winter already. We go out to bid with a number of other communities in the region to try to get some cost savings by being in a group. You have the bid results in your packet. The low bidder was New England Salt Company, who we've used for the last couple of years. Consistently, they've been low bidder, and then on and off back through some time here. But the prices they've offered are within the budgeted amounts, and looking for the board's okay to contract with them, assuming that town meeting approves the money.
Excellent. Thank you for that thorough description. We have 2 minutes left to do our public hearing. So anyone care? Oh yeah, Mike, sorry.
Oh, I'll spend 2 minutes asking you this question, David. Have there been any problems with New England Salt Company in the last 3 years since we've had them?
No. We fortunately, they've got a pretty good system that we're pretty in tune with.
Mhm.
And as long as our contractor alerts us when the supply is diminishing, we usually can get delivery within a day or 2 days of ample supply, and they've always had it when we needed it. And if we ever got to the point where we were kind of caught, we can send a truck up there and pick it up ourselves. They go to Searsport to obtain it.
Okay, thanks.
Yep.
Excellent. Would anyone care to make a motion then?
I move the road salt bid for fiscal year 2022 be awarded to New England Salt Company LLC at the delivered price of $52.50 per ton, and the picked up price of $55 per ton, and that the town administrator is hereby authorized to enter into an agreement with New England Salt Company LLC under these terms.
Second.
Moved by Selectman Late, seconded by Selectman Barnett Parker. Is there any discussion? Seeing no discussion, Selectman Late, what's your vote?
Yes.
Selectman Garrettson?
Yes.
Selectman Ray?
Yes.
Selectman Barnett Parker?
Yes.
Selectman Dunn, my vote is a yes, the motion passes. And it is 6:30 on the nose. And so let's go back to agenda item number 6, and I will seek a motion, please, to open the public hearing.
I move that the board open a public hearing concerning the liquor license application being sought by the Inn at Sunrise Point.
Second.
Moved by Selectman Late, seconded by Selectman Ray. Is there any discussion? Seeing none, Selectman Late, what's your vote?
Yes.
Selectman Garrettson?
Yes.
Selectman Ray?
Yes.
Selectman Barnett Parker?
Yes.
Selectman Dunn, my vote is yes, the motion passes. The public hearing is now open. Do we have any members of the public that wish to speak on this? Unless I'm missing something, I'm not seeing anyone jumping up and down or virtually jumping up and down via the chat feature. So,
You do have Mr. Ruffing here, in case you were wondering.
great. So assuming that the public is satisfied and does not wish to speak during the public hearing, I will entertain a motion.
I move that the board close the public hearing.
Second.
Moved by Selectman Late, seconded by Selectman Barnett Parker. Is there any discussion? Seeing none. Selectman Late, what's your vote?
Yes.
Selectman Garrettson.
Yes.
Selectman Ray.
Yes.
Selectman Barnett Parker.
Yes.
Selectman Dunn. I vote yes. The public hearing is now closed. And welcome to our applicant. And does the Board of Selectmen have any questions for our applicant? Yes, Jordan.
Yeah, just two quick kind of boilerplate questions. Just one, have you ever operated a business with a liquor license before? And if you have a policy pertaining to staff consuming alcohol after hours.
I'm hoping you guys can hear me, but sure. The first question is, we have had business. We've had experience with liquor in a business. My wife is with me. She's co-owner of the inn, and she was in the hospitality business for 20 plus years. And that included running restaurants outside of Washington, D.C. and Alexandria, Virginia. So she's very aware of it. Actually, in my earlier days in operations, I worked for Anheuser-Busch as well. And so I have a little bit of experience from that end. But yeah, I think we have a really good experience in that. And then just from a employees drinking after hours, that won't be permitted based on what we know today. I don't know what goes on now, but that will be our policy in the future for sure.
Well, thank you so much, and thank you for investing in the town too. It's just nice to see.
Yeah, we're excited to be there for sure.
Any other questions? Yeah, Kern.
This may be trivial, but it says, we'll own the property May 12th if the deal is approved. Do you own the property?
So we that was the original closing date, was May 12th. So there's been some delays, just putting together a couple things within the deal. But we anticipate closing on the property between May 20th and May 24th. So a couple things have to come together, but that's the date that's set now. But May 12th was the original date.
Okay, thank you. So this question's for David. David, are we okay approving this tonight, or should we get this on a different agenda after they own the property, or are we good to do this?
You can approve it tonight, and it can move on to the state when and if the applicants close on the property or establish title right or interest.
Okay, and also the one last thing I noticed on number 15, question number 15, that pertains to any convictions of violations, and that question has not been answered. That neither box has been checked, but there is information under that. I would assume that's just a oversight that should be corrected before, I think. Or does the information below that indicate which box should be checked?
The information should indicate.
Is that question directed to me?
Yes.
Yes. Okay. Yeah.
Sorry.
Yeah, that was just a mistake. We should have checked that one box. Correct.
Okay. All right.
Yeah.
That's fine. I figured if the information below it indicates a yes, so but it wasn't checked. So I just wanted to confirm that. Thank you.
Okay. You bet.
Great. Any other questions for our applicant? All right. Not seeing any, I will entertain a motion.
I move that after having held a public hearing, that the board grant the liquor license requested by the Inn at Sunrise Point.
Second.
Moved by Selectman Late, seconded by Selectman Garrettson. Is there any discussion? Seeing no discussion, Selectman Late, what's your vote?
Yes.
Selectman Garrettson,
Yes.
Selectman Ray,
Yes.
Selectman Barnett Parker,
Yes.
Selectman Dunn. My vote is yes, the motion passes. Thank you. Good luck in getting those final details of your closing settled, and welcome to Lincolnville.
Yep, thank you very much, and we're excited to be a part of the community very soon. So thank you.
Okay.
Thank
Yeah.
you.
Thank you.
Have a great evening.
Hey, you too.
All right, having dispatched with agenda item number 6, we are back on track, and we are at agenda item number 10 and having a conversation about public hearings again. David, would you care to speak on this at all?
Sure. The statutory requirement for town meetings is if you have referendum questions, the board is required to hold a public hearing on those questions. I think it's at least 7 days, but it might be at least 10 days prior to the actual date of election, which is June 8th. My suggestion would be that the board hold a public hearing at the start of their May 24th meeting and call it good.
Excellent. Any questions for David? Okay, not seeing any. I will entertain a motion.
I move the board conduct a public hearing on all referendum ballot questions in accordance with the remote participation requirements on Monday, May 24th, 2021 at 6 p.m. and that the board's regular meeting commence immediately thereafter.
Second.
Moved by Selectman Barnett Parker, seconded by Selectman Late. Any discussion? Seeing no discussion, Selectman Late, what's your vote?
Yes.
Selectman Garrettson,
Yes.
Selectman Ray,
Yes.
Selectman Barnett Parker,
Yes.
Selectman Dunn. My vote is yes, the motion passes. Thank you all very much. And David, I'll give this one to you also.
Great. Well, as you know, we had a special town meeting last week. Oh, there's Dawn making dinner for all of us. And at that town meeting, the townspeople approved the sale of the surplus items from the fire department and with the proceeds to go into the fire truck reserve fund. And now the board needs to decide how it wishes those items to be sold so that we can get on with it. The suggestion I think that Dawn and I had was that it be sold via sealed bids. We could advertise what we have for sale and when the bids would need to be submitted by, and then we could have them come to the board for your award. And one of the things that was outstanding is whether or not we wish to establish a minimum bid that we wanted to put in the bid specifications or see what comes in, and then just if they're ridiculously low, just say no, or how you wanted to go about that. And the chief is here obviously to answer questions if you have some specific of the equipment.
Yeah, Chief, do you have anything you want to add to that?
No, not really. I mean, I guess the only thing that I would think of is just, you know, the biggest thing is make sure we don't give the tractor away. I mean, if the highest bid is $3,000, I'm pretty sure the school or someone else could probably use it in the community versus, you know.
Well, would that push us to put a minimum bid on it?
I would
I
think.
think so.
Yeah, I would think so.
It would seem establishing some sort of fair market value, you know, as something to shoot for. That way, if it even comes close to that, then we have a point to start. Do you have a sense of what that, I know we had this conversation, but what that would be?
I think the tractor, the tractor company that we spoke with said, like, as a trade-in value, if you were to bring it to them and they were to trade it in, they said around $7,500. And that's probably about 11 or 12 months ago, but it has been used about an hour since then. So the value should be pretty close to the same. And then also, you know, they also said, you know, if you were to sell it privately, you may be able to get $10,000 for it at, you know, as a high price. So I don't know, in lieu of it not sitting around for another year, you know, maybe set a minimum price somewhere around $6,500.
Don, what's the model number?
I don't have that right now. I think it was probably in the pamphlet. Give me a moment and I should be able to find that for you.
Okay.
And then with the air compressor unit, do we wish to set a minimum price for that?
I think we'd probably just take whatever we can get for that, considering the value was so low.
And what was, you had a dive shop or someone give you an offer?
Yeah, one of the guys in the fire department is friends with a guy that does moorings in Rockport, and he said he'd give us $3,000 for it, and I was kind of taken back just because DL Thurrett said it's worth roughly $1,200 to $1,500 at the most. So, I mean, I don't know if we can just sell it outright to someone like that who makes an offer on it, or if that's not something that can be done. I can also make sure he's contacted so that he can make his, you know, a fair bid on it as well.
Sure. Yeah.
Right now, the board has the authority, if it wishes, to
5,000.
basically use its discretion. But for a fair and equitable system, my advice wouldn't be to just take the first person in the door.
Right. Well, what would the board say to, say setting a minimum price of 2,000, see what we can get for the air compressor?
That makes sense.
Sure.
I'm good. I'm good with that. A little bit of research on that tractor. I'm thinking we should have a little bit higher minimum bid on that. There was quite a gap in the conversation of trade versus, what you could sell it outright for. And I know we don't want to be sales representatives, so we want to price it to sell. I was thinking myself somewhere around $8,000 or.
I was thinking 8,500.
Yeah.
As the minimum, and hopefully someone might offer more.
Yeah.
Can someone just describe me this lawn tractor? I mean, I'm thinking about my 15-year-old John Deere that we paid $5,000 for, that still runs.
That's
But
pretty nice.
that's my reference for what a lawn tractor is.
So this, Josh, is a John Deere 200 CX loader with mowing deck. It's 4-wheel drive. It's like an overgrown lawn tractor, basically.
Okay.
A diesel engine.
Okay. Thank you.
Yeah.
The other thing, the board doesn't have to this evening establish a minimum, and you can put it out to bid. We can put right in the bid specification, the board reserves the right to reject or accept any or all bids as it deems in the best interest of the town, and to negotiate with any bidder so that you're not locking yourself in. So if you happen to pick a low ball number and somebody just bids that, if you say the minimum accepted, you've kind of locked yourself into accepting it. If you don't put a minimum in and it's ridiculously low or whatever, you can reject them all. But 6 and 1/2 dozen the other. If you know if you have an idea what the value is, it doesn't hurt to, chase away people that might bid $200 too.
Okay. So what does the board wish to do?
Well, personally, I like the idea of setting a minimum bid for the lawn tractor of 8,500. And it sounded, Don, as if the fire department would take that. You mentioned 65 earlier, so I'm guessing 85 would be acceptable to go into your account, and that way it kind of gets us out of the dickering business, But that's just my thought.
Okay. And with regards to the compressor, leave that open-ended and reserve the right to turn down anything that felt offensive?
Yeah, I guess, yeah.
I'd agree with that.
I'm good with that.
All right. Well, with that understanding, does someone want to make a motion then?
Where are we here?
Number 11.
Thank you. I move that the town administrator advertise and seek bids for the sale of the town-owned surplus items, and that all bids received be presented to the Board of Selectmen at a future meeting for approval of the sale.
Second.
Moved by Selectman Ray, seconded by Selectman Late. Is there discussion? Seeing no discussion, Selectman Late, what's your vote?
Yes.
Selectman Garrettson,
Yes.
Selectman Ray,
Yes.
Selectman Barnett Parker.
Yes.
Selectman Dunn, my vote is yes, the motion passes. Thank you very much, Chief, for popping in here this evening. Have a great one.
Very welcome. Thank you.
Thank you.
And David, I think I will hand this one over to you as well. We have a request to continue what was labeled the clean energy discussion of a number of mid-coast towns. Uh-oh.
Sorry, I went to send the chief away and I sent Selectman Barnett Parker.
Oh.
But I think
I was banished to the corner.
Yeah, God.
Okay.
Sorry about that. I think we're back where we need to be.
Clean energy discussion.
Clean energy. Yes, so the selectmen from Thomaston are looking to put together another clean energy discussion. And they have changed the dates as of today, or the possibility of dates as of today, from what was listed in the newsletter to Tuesday, May 25th, Tuesday, June 1st, or Wednesday, June 2nd. Apparently there were some conflicts with some other communities.
June 2nd sounds great.
Yeah, I was just gonna say that would be nice.
I believe we have a broadband coalition meeting then. It's on my calendar.
Yeah, I think you do, because I think they moved it up a week because everybody's going to be in elections and town meeting the following week.
Is there a time?
5 o'clock. Oh, for the coalition.
Yeah. Just wondering if it could work, you could double down on meetings.
Well, I think we could do a 6 or 6:15 start time if that was possible, because then we could jump from the broadband coalition over to the energy one, if that sounds okay, Josh.
Mm-hmm. That's fine with me.
Yeah, David, did they indicate one way or the other?
They did not list a start time. I would presume it would be an evening meeting, just because a number of people on those select boards work other jobs during the day.
Yeah.
Some work evenings too, I don't know, but
I
they did
believe
not.
it was 6 last time, wasn't it?
I can't remember.
I forget.
Well, even if you two gentlemen slide in a little bit late, I'm sure it's not the end of the world. I'm guessing the conversation will not be short. So David, are you content with a consensus for the June 2nd date?
I will convey June 2nd, and what would be the board's preferred time for a start, and I'll advocate for that.
Oh, 6:30.
6:30 or
Yeah,
after?
that'd be perfect.
Okay,
Okay.
super.
Done.
Thank you all very much. And at last, we have before us a brief conversation regarding the vast amounts of paperwork that needs to be handled for the land exchange with Coastal Mountains Land Trust. David, do you wish to elaborate?
Sure. After what's turned into a long and arduous journey, seems to be down to the last crossing of the T's and the dotting of the I's in terms of our proposed land exchange with Coastal Mountains Land Trust, to the point where the town attorney is satisfied that the last little tidbits can be addressed, and suggested that we I seek to obtain a motion from you folks authorizing me to sign all the necessary paperwork so that when this was ready to go, we could actually schedule a closing and move on to the next phase.
Any questions?
No.
Okay, if there are no questions, then I'll entertain a motion.
I move that the board authorize and direct town administrator to execute and deliver the quitclaim deed to Coastal Mountains Land Trust, CMLT, to accept delivery of the quitclaim deed with covenant from CMLT, to execute and deliver the conservation easement to CMLT, and to execute any and all necessary paperwork reasonably incident to this land swap between the town and CMLT, authorized by Article 5 of the July 14th, 2020 town meeting.
Second.
Moved by Selectman Late, seconded by Selectman Barnett Parker. Is there discussion? Seeing none, Selectman Late, what's your vote?
Yes.
Selectman Garrettson,
Yes.
Selectman Ray,
Yes.
Selectman Barnett Parker.
Yes.
Selectman Dunn, my vote is yes, the motion passes. Thank you all very much. And Selectman Late, do you have an update for?
We had a Midco Solid Waste Board of Directors meeting, which mostly consisted of executive session for performance appraisal for our new manager, and everything went very well. That's all I can say.
Okay, great, thank you. Selectman Garrettson, do you have an update for us?
Yes. Is this where I talk about the coalition? Because I didn't see that on the agenda.
Oh, shoot, we forgot to put that on the agenda. But sure, yes.
Okay. All right. I made a list this time.
We'll get that muscle strong soon, don't worry.
Okay.
There's something I was forgetting.
All right. So let's see. On April 27th, I testified on that bill, LD 1432. Went well. I got a question from Representative Ziegler and also from Representative Barry. So that was nice that there was interest. Let's see. Jordan, myself, and Steve. No, Steve wasn't on there. And Matt Siegel. We met with the Southwestern Waldo County Broadband Coalition, I believe last week, and they told us about their progress. So they are 4 towns in the mid coast, or in Waldo County. I'm blanking on the names. Palermo is one of them. Freedom. Anyways, 2 more.
I think Liberty too.
Liberty. Okay.
Yeah.
And one more. I apologize for forgetting that, but they are exploring what to do with their broadband situation, which is much more dire than the situation here, frankly. And so we had a great exchange of basically where our coalition is and where their coalition is, and just a lot of good feedback for both groups, and perhaps there's a possibility to work with them in the future. One of the representatives went before the Waldo County commissioners and had said that they could use some of the funding from the county for the ARP if possible in the future for their project. And I'll circle back to the county commissioners at the end of my report. Let's see, on May 5th and May 7th, met with the marketing subcommittee, which I'm on, and basically just discussed strategy for talking with residents and spreading the word about what's on the June ballot for, let's see, Camden, Rockport, and I believe Thomaston, and the next steps beyond that. We had an article in the Bangor Daily News a few days ago about the coalition that quoted a number of people in the coalition, and just really giving the lay of the land of what's going on. I thought it was a really great explanation of the coalition's work to date. And then today, the leadership of the coalition announced that they're moving forward with working with Axiom for the feasibility study for phase 1 towns. And the way they see it, the current phase 1 towns are Camden, Rockport, Rockland, Thomaston, Owl's Head, and South Thomaston. So that's 6 towns. And if a town thinks they're ready to join phase 1 and are willing to provide the financial contribution to pay for their share, that town should let them know. I believe for Owl's Head and South Thomaston, they're paying $5,000 for the feasibility study for their town, and then the other 4 larger towns, I think they're each paying $15,000. And so I think personally, I would like us to be in phase 1 because that's the first group of towns that are building out, that are deploying this open access network. And so I'm interested in, because without the study, we don't really have any hard data on what it'll take for Lincolnville to either build out their own network, or if we could, buy LCI's network and pay them fair market value. We just don't know what the options are without that. So something we should think about. And so circling back to the county commissioners. So a number of the towns in the coalition wrote a letter to the Knox County commissioners urging that they give basically all the county money to or spend it on going towards the coalition once it's a utility for broadband. As far as I know, although the guidance from Treasury today may speak differently, counties and towns can use the ARP funds for water, sewer, and broadband. And in our area, water and sewer aren't really covered by counties, so it makes sense. If you can't spend it on water or sewer and it expires in 2024, then why not spend it on broadband? And to that point, I think we should consider asking our county commissioners to put our percentage of the county funds to the coalition, specifically for Lincolnville, because that's, I think, $400-something thousand our share from the county. And if they literally are only allowed to spend it on water, sewer, and broadband, then that makes perfect sense to me. And I think, so that's it for my report.
Questions for Josh? Yeah, Kurt.
What would there be anything tied to that, Josh, if we ask for that advance? Or no, that's money there for the towns in the county, right?
It's for the county to spend as they see fit.
Okay.
On those 3 things.
And
as
just
far
those
as
3 things, right?
Yeah.
As far as we know, yeah.
There are more than 3 things available to governmental bodies to spend it on, but water, sewer, and broadband, I definitely saw included in that, in the stuff I looked at today.
Okay.
Well, it definitely seems like something we should have on an upcoming agenda item once we know a little bit more of the nuances of that, so that we could pick the right direction to advocate for ourselves.
Yeah, sounds
great.
Good.
I'm definitely interested in seeing where the conversation goes in terms of participating in the Waldo County group, seeing as how we are in Waldo County. And that's one thing that is sort of confusing / unsettling for me with funding and where monies may be going, just in our sort of unique position of straddling a couple of counties and in various different efforts. So that's of interest for sure. Thank you very much for taking the time to put that comprehensive update together.
You're welcome.
Thank you, Josh.
Mike, do you have an update for us?
Well, I do, and it is also broadband related, but on a more local level. Last select board meeting, I said that I would get in touch with former broadband committee members and try to schedule the first meeting. I got in touch with everyone. Well, no, I contacted everyone, had conversations with two I haven't heard back from. And then another person was just appointed tonight. And I'm just going to bend Dave's ear tomorrow morning and let him schedule the meeting, because I think he's got a better idea of what calendar date works. And we'll get started. I would just add is that if the broadband committee charge reads that the broadband committee is charged, I'm paraphrasing, doing anything that the board wants it to do in a broadband related way, or whatever the board feels like the broadband committee ought to do. Anyway, so what Josh just mentioned, and inquiring into how county funds might work, that might be something that we want to delegate to the broadband committee. Just a thought. But that would be my update.
Okay, excellent. Thank you. Well, and certainly, I think once we find out about the former, we could take action on the latter, whether that comes in the form of revising our charge. Because it seems like things are evolving so rapidly that potentially revising the charge might make sense. Yeah, David.
Mr. Always hung up on process. We do need to get the list of those that want to continue or rejoin the broadband committee, because their original terms expired and the board ought to reappoint people or appoint people to that, just so we have a complete list of contacts and know.
Yes.
And David, I'll call you tomorrow and we'll talk about that.
Fabulous. Thank you, Mike. Jordan, do you have an update for us?
I do not.
Okay. And I also have no update. So thank you all for the updates that were given. We have the treasurer and payroll warrants to approve and sign.
I move that the board approve the treasurer's and payroll warrants.
Second.
Moved by Selectman Barnett Parker, seconded by Selectman Late. Is there any discussion? Seeing no discussion. Selectman Late, what's your vote?
Yes.
Selectman Garrettson?
Yes.
Selectman Ray?
Yes.
Selectman Barnett Parker?
Yes.
Selectman Dunn, my vote is yes, the motion passes. And is there any other? Yes.
Under non-agenda items, the brief summary of the stuff that just is going on in communications and things of that nature. Kendall Cemetery letter from an abutting taxpayer. David, can you tell me what the deal is? Why do we not allowed, or some people not allowed to go in there and maintain that cemetery, or was there an agreement made sometime in the past? Or
I will attempt to update you on that. Kendall Cemetery is surrounded by land that is owned in private ownership. And my understanding of the law is if you have relative buried in there, you can cross private land to go to the cemetery. The landowner that owns the property that surrounds that does not wish to allow for public access to the cemetery. The law allows or doesn't allow. The law requires municipalities to maintain certainly veterans' graves to a certain standard. However, if there's a property owner that surrounds that cemetery wishes to take on that responsibility, then basically the town's responsibility is being done by that property owner. And in our case, the property owner understands the law, wishes to maintain the cemetery. We do not know if there is a veteran that is buried there or not, to the best of my knowledge. And so as long as the person maintains the cemetery to a certain condition, we can't kick the door in and help ourselves. And that property owner twice a year sends us photos and a letter saying, I've lived up to my end of what's required of me, and here's visual proof. And we file it and give copies to the Board of Selectmen, and I give a copy to the cemetery trustee chair as well, that letter.
So thank you. So
Yeah.
with regards to veterans, the people who put the flags on the veterans' graves for the upcoming holiday, are they not allowed to go down in there? Or do they don't even know if there is a veteran in that cemetery?
We're required to, for Memorial Day, put a flag on veterans' graves, or the cemeteries are required to do that. Like I said, to the best of anybody's knowledge, no one's ever said that there's a veteran there. And without knowledge of that, we don't do it. And if we had knowledge of that, I would say we would probably alert the property owner, and my suspicion is that he would mark the grave. I mean, he's been taking care of that cemetery for at least 10 years that I'm aware of.
Yeah. Okay. I just wondered what the logistics of that whole thing were.
Yeah,
Thank
you're welcome. Cemetery law is about as clear as mud. And we do what we can, and we work with people as best we can to make sure that the cemeteries are maintained, particularly the veterans' graves.
Yeah, and Kern, if you want to follow up, I know Corlin had been doing a lot of research, exhaustive research, to try to determine whether or not there was, or who was there. So she's a great resource for sure.
Thank you.
Okay, well, if there's no other business that the board wishes to attend to, I will entertain a final motion.
Move to adjourn.
Second.
Moved by Selectman Late, seconded by Selectman Barnett Parker. Any discussion? Feels like we're getting out of school early.
I know, I love it.
Well done, everyone. Selectman Late, what's your vote?
Yes.
Selectman Garrettson.
Yes.
Selectman Ray.
Yes.
Selectman Barnett Parker.
Yes.
And Selectman Dunn, my vote is yes. We are adjourned. Everyone have a beautiful evening.
Okay. See you later.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Okay, good night.